is my ledge or not, because this is my air.
Fighting fans got their nostalgia fix as Anderson Silva knocked out Tito Ortiz during the Holyfield fight card. The matchup was more interesting than your typical UFC Legends runback, though, as the boxing match setting forced both fighters to stretch outside their comfort zones and embrace the new setting. Fans, critics, former fighters, and more had a lot to say about Anderson Silva's stunning knockout. So let's get right into it. How did we get here? Anderson the Spider Silva was, and by many still is, widely regarded as the best to ever step into the octagon, but recent performances over the last few years left fans with little to cheer about. His most recent highlight was probably passing the torch to Israel Adesanya a while back, if that tells you anything. And so when he turned his attention to boxing, some were skeptical, especially because of how brutal Silva's kicks and elbows have proven in the UFC. But after one boxing match early last year, Silva came out to the event seemingly with something to prove, and a chip on his shoulder the size of a boulder. Across from him was Tito Ortiz, the former UFC and Bellator legend, whose late career would have made fans shudder if not for how much fun it has been for him to lose after being a walking meme dead set on making a fool of himself. The fight was supposed to be redemption for both of them, but after everything was said and done, Ortiz didn't have much to smile about besides the paycheck. The fight started fast, didn't last long, and there were plenty of memorable moments nonetheless. Tito Ortiz, who was making his boxing debut, came out swinging at Silva, and while the aggression was very much appreciated by fans, probably wasn't his best strategy. Ortiz gassed out right away, not surprising for a fighter his age, as well as one who had never stepped foot in a boxing ring before. Anderson retreated to the ropes and, in classic show of showmanship for the Spider, bobbed his head joyfully and easily avoided any punches that Ortiz threw. Anderson was never in any danger, and it showed. The knockout. While Tito seemed determined to end the fight early, it seemed like he was completely outclassed by Silva, who, after dodging several punches while leaning up against the ropes, threw a devastating counter hook at Tito Ortiz that sent him crashing to the mat, ending the fight. While it's hard to know how much promoting and how much is serious, the KO had to feel good for Silva, who spent most of the week exchanging barbs with Ortiz and having to navigate a bad weigh-in which saw Ortiz show up much heavier than he was supposed to. What did the world think of the match though? Were they disappointed at how fast it ended, or did it all just add to the excitement? Social media's reaction. Who are we kidding? Has any fight fan actually been upset at a quick knockout? It's one of the most awe-inspiring things that could take place in a match, and Silva striking Ortiz with such clinical precision electrified not only the arena but the world, it seems. Many were amazed at how quickly the match ended, with many tweeting just the time, 2.5 minutes. Many feared that the fight between the two UFC legends would be boring and a bit of a snooze fest, but Silva made the fight all the sweeter for many by seeing notorious and hateable Tito Ortiz go down, as his trash-talking and persona have rubbed fans the wrong way the last few years. Many took the chance to wish Tito a good night, and sharing the photo of him lying on his back with the caption, "This sums up the last 5 years of Tito's career," and a hilariously brutal burn at the former champ. Many photoshopped the grounded Ortiz into beds, graves, and increasingly wacky situations to great laughs online. And it seems like while the numbers of cards were not great, there was still a lot of entertainment factor from the whole thing, which is probably a good sign for Triller. UFC fighters were not shy about bashing Ortiz in favor of Silva either, which isn't that surprising considering that Ortiz has levied shots at a majority of the promotion over the last decade. Tito Ortiz memes. If there's one thing that social media has been good at, and in particular Twitter, it's making fun of whatever is going on in the world. Unfortunately for Tito Ortiz, lots and lots of people watched the card that Triller put on, and they all let the jokes ride. Some implied that Tito's big head was just too easy of a target to not hit if you're Silva, while others took the moment to say that the $50 cost to watch the card was more than worth it to see Tito go down in such an emphatic fashion. Between how much people hate Tito Ortiz and how much they love Anderson Silva, it was always going to go this way if he lost. It's just unfortunate for him how exciting of a way he ended up losing. Something tells me Tito doesn't really mind being the butt of a joke at this point, especially judging from the results of his last few years of fighting. What's next for Silva? While a lot of social media was filled with memes of Tito Ortiz after his very short night, many also pondered what's next for for Anderson Silva. Chris Weidman, who fought Silva twice in the UFC, simply tweeted, "Who's next?" That's a very good question. Chris, Silva isn't getting any younger, and the last few years of his UFC career looked rough, to say the least, but he's shown genuine talent in the boxing arena that we haven't seen from him in the octagon, leading many to believe that his striking and precision as a boxer could extend his fighting career for a few more years. Silva's ability to anticipate punches and get his head out of harm's way are probably on par with any boxer, but only time will tell if his striking can keep up with someone that can actually throw a punch. Sorry, Tito. Many questions surround the Brazilian, but judging from fan reaction, it's clear that many are still willing to invest time and money to watch the Spider fight, something that will almost undoubtedly happen, but one big question still remains. Who does he fight? Potential opponents. Wouldn't it be crazy if we saw Anderson Silva compete for the gold? Yes, it would, and we are still a few prove-it matches away from that happening, but it's hard not to get carried away after seeing that KO. Most likely, Silva will challenge another up-and-comer, and that's okay. We don't want to rush this storyline and see Silva get overworked by an experienced boxer. We want to give the guy a chance to get his legs underneath him first before any of that, but if he keeps winning, it's only a matter of time before serious boxing talent starts calling. As Luke Thomas said on Twitter, nobody's more poised to make something of his mid-40s boxing push than Anderson Silva. It's hard to bet against the crazy amount of natural talent this man possesses. What else happened on the card? The fight card was dubbed the Legends card and did extremely poorly in terms of buys, mostly because the star power it did have were all well past their primes anyways. Although fans were presently surprised and excited to see Anderson Silva prove he's still got it, the Belfort-Holyfield bout was about as bad as things could get. First of all, Holyfield wasn't even supposed to be competing, but Oscar De La Hoya's COVID test coming back positive forced Triller to scramble and find the battered Holyfield to come out of retirement for one last paycheck. The fight was brutal, showed an old and sad version of Evander Holyfield trying his best to bring something for the fans, something I'm sure everyone appreciated. His opponent, Vitor-Belfort, looked fresh and mean, something many on social media attributed to probably steroid use, which could be the case judging from the lax way that Triller went about the fight. Eventually, Belfort sent Holyfield to the ground, and we're all able to exhale knowing that neither fighter would be seriously endangered. This whole event, though, brings up another debate. Should these celebrity fights continue? The future of Triller. They should and will, judging from the Woodley-Paul's fight amazing numbers and Paul's ability to make himself so unlikable that people will pay to watch him hopefully lose. But Paul's over on Showtime now. What about Triller? Unless they have something crazy under their sleeves to bring some excitement to the proceedings, I think that the answer is a definite no. Fans just aren't that interested in seeing anyone not named Mike Tyson re-enter the boxing ring right now. And things will only get weirder if Triller continues to throw amateur boxing celebs into the fray. It seems we might be at the end of the trend which many boxing fans were probably hoping for all along. While Paul may have stamped his name as an actual boxer, judging from pay-per-view numbers, doesn't seem like anyone besides die-hard UFC fans wanted to see Belfort and Ortiz try their hand at boxing. And with that, it wraps up the video. Thanks for watching.